1 year, over 700 horsepower, taking road trips, daily driving this monster. Does it live up to the hype? Let's find out. My initial thoughts on the Durango Hellcat were that I was going to absolutely love the 710 horsepower supercharged V8. I was going to like the sound, I was going to like the supercharged whine and the instant power that you get from it, but I was going to be disappointed and want to move on from it due to the interior quality being less than I was used to with the more luxury brand SUVs that I had been owning. The reality is, after a year, I absolutely love the supercharged V8, and I can't get enough of the sounds that not only the exhaust and the supercharger make, but like I said, that an instant power when you want it is unmatched. Surprisingly for me, the interior is really comfortable. The seats, they have heat, AC, actual AC, which is not a standard on some of those luxury brands. They call them vented seats. And something none of those have, which is remote start. And for me, here in South Florida, getting to remote start and have that AC kick on to where you get into a cool vehicle is so much better than the X7 and all the M5s and the G-Wagon all had. There are things that I was not expecting this to have that it has that made it way more comfortable. Something that adds to that comfortability is how family friendly it is for me. So I daily drive it. I have 5 people in my family, 3 daughters and me and my wife. I'll run errands in it, but I also, if I need to pick up the family, it's easy for them to get in and out with the 6-seat configuration it has with no center console in the back, where they could just climb through if they want. The seats flip forward, really easy if they want to have a little more room to get in. My daughters claim that this is the most comfortable SUV we've owned that they can remember, so really that's going to be the X7, the Trackhawk, and the G-Wagon. Between those, this is the most comfortable. The supercharger gives you more than just the whine. It gives you instant power without any turbo lag, like I got in the BMW X7 and the G-Wagon. Even though I think this has more power, the way it gives the power to you and the aggressiveness in which it does that, it really reminds me a lot of the Jag when I was driving that. It's the perfect complementary car to the McLaren 765 LT. It's not quite as fast, but it is exciting enough that I don't feel the huge step and downgrade when I get into this to drive around. This car's practicality has made it the perfect vehicle for my family. If we're taking road trips, there's plenty of room for people in all 3 rows. And if we need it, back row folds down to keep room for suitcases or anything else like that. There are 5 of us, and the fact that you can fold down just one of the back seats to put the luggage in makes it ideal. The only downside of the practicality of this is the gas mileage. The strengths are the handling is more like a sports car versus an SUV. It is comfortable. It's easy to load and unload the entire family with the way the seats fold down and the kids can get in and out. Its weakness is, unfortunately, there's not a ton of storage behind that 3rd row. It's way less than we had in the Navigators we've owned and even the G-Wagon. It's manageable though, so it is not a deal breaker at all. In the past year, I've had absolutely no issues with reliability from the engine or the platform. And the only thing I've really had to replace was the tires, but that was an alignment issue that's been fixed and everything's working great since then. So the down part to this having this big engine is the fuel cost. Depending on the price of where you're getting gas, it's gonna be between 75 and 100 bucks to fill up the tank. It's a decent sized tank, so you get okay mileage from it. I average on my daily use at least 1 tank a week, and on the road trips, obviously depending on the distance we go, there's more gas involved with that. Insurance on this is just almost to the dollar at $3,000 a year, and that's because it's my primary vehicle that I drive consistently and put the most miles on. And in South Florida, insurance is pretty expensive, so overall that's not a huge price tag for insurance. Overall, I think I was about 800 bucks in for the 2 new tires and the alignment. So that's all that I've really spent so far on this in the year I've owned it. It is due for a oil change, so I'm gonna take that in, but the good news is it's a Dodge, so the oil change isn't really that pricey. Other than that, the only real issue I have with this car is the brake dust. I really think that this should have come standard with carbon ceramic brakes, and that would have eliminated the brake dust issue. I did put better brake pads on, that cut the dust down about in half. I didn't count that in the cost because that was a optional thing, not a required thing. Those are about 800 bucks, and they do cut down the dust a lot, but I still think that is the biggest letdown on this car because the price tag is, it's a 6-figure car, and they really should have put those on standard. My favorite part of owning this so far is its daily usability. It is easy to get in and out of parking garages and parking spots, and it's predictable and comfortable at slow and fast speeds while driving to where you feel in control at all times. One of the most surprising things about owning this for me is how inclusive the Mopar community is. I get stopped at stoplights asking me to roll the window down, or in parking lots of people sharing their Mopar ownership history and love. I didn't really expect it with this. I get people stopping me a lot with the McLaren and telling me how much they like the car and how nice it is and that kind of stuff. But the cool part with this is people get to share their ownership stories with me and tell me the cars they've owned. And that's been a really fun thing I did not expect when I bought this car. Again, if I could change one thing, it would be that carbon ceramic brakes were standard on this. It's really kept me from upgrading the wheels at all because it's constantly just a problem where my wheels are caked in brake dust. And like I said, it is better now that I have replaced the pads with better pads, but it's still a constant issue where I just washed it. 2 days later, they already look dirty from brake dust. This is the perfect family car for anyone that wants power, comfort, and practicality. Really, the only thing I think that might match it would be a TRX, but then you got to deal with the truck issues, and around where I live, there's just nowhere to get to enjoy the extra fun that that car would add. I would 100% make this purchase again. And honestly, I haven't found anything on the market right now that makes me even consider selling it and trying out something else. Let me know in the comments what you think. Are you as surprised as I am at how good this has been for me so far?